Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we cover all the major indoor football leagues such as the IFL, the NAL, the AF1, the AAL, and the TAL. We will also discuss the AIF, which has had some very interesting news come out as of recently. But today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to kick it off with the IFL. Normally IFL's a little bit further back in our lineup, but we got a really special guest joining us this morning, so we're gonna do things a little bit differently to accommodate this standout guest that you may or may not have seen in the post. But before we get into that, you know how we start the show here. All right, we are very excited to be joined by Caleb Ramsauer. Did I say that correctly?
Right, it's Ramsauer.
Ramsauer. Sorry about that.
Ramsauer. Oh, you're all good. No worries. I know it's hard to say.
I should have asked you that when we were off camera, but here we are. So anyway, I wanted to first of all thank you for your time this morning. As I spoke to you a little bit ago, you and I kind of connected a little bit before the season. Unfortunately, I was not able to help you to your landing spot, but you found somewhere to land and ultimately have kind of become a really big impact player for Tulsa down there. So wanted to go ahead and just kind of start you off with a brief introduction. So just give you the floor and kind of tell fans about yourself a little bit, and then we'll get into the questions.
Okay, most definitely. My name is Caleb Ramsauer, former Nevada running back. Played last year. This last season that just ended in the collegiate level, Division I FBS. I had 941 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns. Ultimately, somehow didn't even get an honorable mention in the Mountain West, which I think I was even snubbed for second team. But I got to be on the PFSN third team All Mountain West and fourth team Phil Steele All Mountain West. So I got some type of accolades. And then also my team, I had won the Offensive Player of the Year for my team. And then I played, junior college as well at Butte College, was an all-state running back there. Played at Morehead State for a short stint as well. And then finished out my career at the University of Nevada, which I'm super proud of. And that's a little bit about my collegiate career. I've been playing football since I was 5 years old. Started out was the mascot for my brother's team, and because I was too young to play. But my love for the game started then. My brother was a Boy Scout, and I used to dress up in my Michael Vick costume, just running around juking all the Boy Scouts and stuff. So at a really early age, I love the game, and I was already making people miss at 5. So that's a little bit about me, and who I am as a football player. Yeah.
Love it. So we haven't done this in a little while. If you used to watch all of our interviews, we used to religiously play highlights. So we're gonna get back to that today and play some of Caleb's highlights, which we're very excited about. Unfortunately, we don't have IFL highlights, but here are some of his college plays. We'll just kind of let these play while we continue to talk. But Caleb, when did you first become aware of the opportunities indoors? I mean, obviously, as you know, at this point, there's multiple different leagues. There's multiple different styles of play. When did that kind of first come on your radar coming out of college?
That was like couple years back when I was in junior college, when I was aware of the IFL. I remember when I was young, I went to AF1 or Arena League game when it was at its peak, and I think it was the LA Kiss. I think I went to that game, and I kind of was like, oh shoot, this is cool, but I didn't think about it until when I got to junior college, and I started watching. There was this running back in the IFL that caught my attention, Justin Rankin. I started watching him. People don't know that I started watching like the IFL during junior college. So like I'm watching them play and stuff like that. I'm like, dang, he's pretty good. I'm surprised he's not up at a higher level right now. But eventually he got his opportunity playing the CFL. So I started watching religiously, watching other teams, other games, and just understanding the game and stuff like that. So that's when I kind of got familiar with the indoor football league.
Love that. Love that. And, shout out to Justin Rankin. Ironically, shared a coach that you now play for.
Yeah.
Billy Back was his head
Hmm.
coach down there in Frisco for a while. But yeah, Justin Rankin's now with the Edmonton Elks. I believe he actually had 1,000-yard rushing season with the Elks last season, if I'm not mistaken there. So,
Hmm.
um, anyway, Caleb, I really, really am excited to kind of learn a little bit more about how you ended up with Tulsa and stuff like that. But TJ, do you have any questions for Caleb?
Yeah, my question is tilting into the indoor league, what differences or how different was the adjustment to make from going from outdoor, obviously playing in college, to going to the IFL?
It's a big difference. So like my last season of college, I had a huge injury that I played through. So it was kind of like halted me from being my best self on the field. I had an osteitis pubis, which is like a groin injury before. Like I had it right before the first game against Penn State. So I'm over here trying to scramble, find out how to get a steroid shot to ease the pain because this is my senior year. I'm trying to make it to the NFL and. So, things were a little bit slower for me on the field last year. But the biggest difference is this field is a lot smaller. You can't, do everything you want to do like you would on an outdoor field. But essentially, for me, like I feel like I'm already a downhill runner, so this game is like pretty good, set up for my running style. And I've kind of adapted in these first few games that I've played, and getting more confident on the wall, especially like catching the ball on the wall. First game, I was like a little like I felt weird, like why am I standing next to a wall? Um, but now I'm getting a little bit more comfortable out there, and I want to still get more comfortable, like for example, making cutback runs. That's another thing I'm trying to work on, as well as when I'm on the wall, getting skinny on the wall, staying away from defenders and not getting knocked into the wall. Because there was a game a few weeks back against San Diego, or not San Diego, San Antonio, where I had a touchdown, but I fell onto the wall for too much long, and then they counted it as out. So those are the few things, and also like just the fast pace of you got to stay ready at all times. You can't go sit down and be like, oh, the defense is up, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. No, the defense is going to be off the field in about 3 minutes, so you got to be ready to go back on that field and go score a touchdown. So I love the fast pace of the game as well. So like that's just something that is way different than outdoor. This is the fastest pace of football there is, in my opinion. Faster than the NFL, faster than the CFL, because the field is so much smaller, and you have talent coming from all those levels as well playing on this field. So it's going to be super fast.
You speak about the speed of the game, which I mean, obviously, is an adaptation for any player coming indoor from the outdoor game. But how do you think that's made you a better running back when you eventually will transition back outdoors?
Yeah, it's one on one. That's what it is. This is a one on one matchup. We call that Nevada Streets of Carson. This is one of the drills we used to do last season, where we got three guys on defense, three guys on offense. You're running from the side of the where the bags are, and you guys meet in the street. And you got to break a tackle, make someone miss, make a cut. That's how I describe this style of game. Like you're one on one. This shows who you are as a player, right? In the highest level. Like it shows like because now you don't have help from others as much. You got to make a play, and it's you versus. There's going to be somebody that's unblocked, and you have to make them miss. So I think that's the biggest thing, with the change of pace and how much this game differs from everything else.
Fair point. TJ, any more questions?
Yeah, as I mean, obviously, coming into this season, like you said, in college, you felt like you were snubbed for awards. Do you feel like you've put yourself into maybe a position to get any accolades at the end of this season in the IFL?
Um, it's too early to say. I haven't, in my opinion, I haven't proved enough. Game in and game out, I've done well, But that doesn't matter because there's a long season left, 7 games left. I have to continuously prove myself in order to reach those heights of getting some accolades. Those are definitely on my list of what I need to do. I need to, I want to win this Rookie of the Year. I want to be on the rookie all first team rookie. Um, but first, I want to win a championship. That's the most important thing because I've been telling my team this whole week, success leaves clues. As long as we're successful together, we'll all reach where we're trying to reach. And as long as we go out there and dominate, we'll all reach where we're trying to reach. So that's kind of my motto this week, and just trying to, be a team guy, rather than myself. Because as long as I lift these guys up, they're going to lift me up, and we're going to all be successful. So, got to continuously be the great player that I am each and every week, which I will be. And then, those things will, all fall into place.
One thing I noticed about your game when we were watching your film is that it feels like you're very comfortable catching the ball out of the backfield or, running routes out of the slot or something like that. So talk to me a little bit about your preparation as a receiver in addition to being a running back.
Yeah, so I pride myself up. A lot of people didn't know this. I don't know how. Like a lot of people didn't know that I'm an all-purpose back. Because I know like a few of the teams like were saying like, oh, you're a power back, you're a power back. I'm like, they don't know I'm not a power back. I'm all-purpose. I'm just a physical runner. I can turn that on at any time, but I can also make people miss, catch the ball out the backfield. And when I was in junior college, I had a lot of receptions as well. And then at Morehead State, our offense was so fast paced. We went no huddle, ran a lot of routes. In high school, we ran a veer offense, so I didn't run routes. But I was always I always worked one-on-ones, running routes with the DBs, just to be sharp at the skill. And then 7-on-7, I played for this one of the best 7-on-7 teams in California called the TMP Elite. And there I was, playing against top talent, 4-star recruits, 3-star, 5-star recruits, guys that are, going to Power 5 schools. And I worked, those skills one-on-one. And actually I was playing a little DB back then too. So just being able to play, out there where the smaller guys are, the receivers and the DBs, and learn, how to run routes, catch the ball, how to defend routes as well, taught me how to run my routes. So essentially, I've always had that skill since I was young. As a freshman as well, I played receiver. So, that's something that I've always had. My brothers will tell you as well. Like I always used to tell them, come outside, let's go play catch. Let's go play catch. That's all I always used to want to do as a kid. So it's already in me to catch that ball. And then it's just a focus thing as well. Like some guys, overcomplicate it, just look the ball in, and then make your run after. Look the ball in, and then you can make someone miss. So I think that's, why I'm so comfortable catching it out the backfield.
So I wanted to kind of give you another little second part of that question as well. You've also, served as a kick returner at times as well. So not only are you a solid pass catcher, you're a great running back, but then you're also adding value in the return game and on special teams. So kind of give us an idea how you also kind of add to your game on top of everything else. How do you mentally prepare to go back there and catch a kick and, run full speed at another man?
Right. So essentially, I've kick returned in college as well. I kick returned at Morehead State and at Nevada. JUCO, I didn't kick return because I was specifically in the backfield. But other than that, like how that became a thing. I've in high school, my junior year, I didn't get to play varsity until I was a junior. We had a stacked team, almost like half of our starters went Division I. And I was, really trying to get on the field as I was undersized. I really should have been in the class below. I was a little bit young for my class. I should have been in the class of 21 instead of 2020. So 2019, I'm like, I still look like a little kid, and I'm really small. So I'm like, dang, I want to get on the field. Everybody else is playing. I want to get recruited. So like our starting running back at the time was not working hard in practice. Especially in the special teams drill. So I start cutting everybody. I go up front, go return the kicks and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this might be a chance for me to get on the field, go return kicks. And then our coach, which was our track coach as well, he ended up letting me go back there and kick return. Um, and I had a really big explosive kick return against a team in the playoffs. So that's kind of how it started. And then my senior year, I didn't do it because that I had other duties at running back, and that was all they wanted me to do. And then when I got to Morehead State, I told myself I wanted to be more versatile again and show people that I'm not just a one-trick pony, that I'm not just a running back, that I'm just a football player. So I went out there on kickoff, punt return, which is what I was returning at punts, and I was also kick returning, which I think I was averaging like 30 return yard or 30 yards of return, and I think it's pretty good. When I only played four games there. So, but yeah, I was averaging that. And then at Nevada, my senior year, I got to return again against Penn State. I had a big return against them. And then, well, I wouldn't say big, solid return. And then I kind of just helped out after that because I was the main running back. So, that's just a part of my skill set, just being a football player, returning kicks, catching the ball. That's just all of me.
I love that term, football player. A lot of guys forget that there's more than just one aspect to the game. So,
Right.
TJ, our resident special teams coordinator, do you have any more questions for Caleb here?
Yeah, I have an interesting one. It's purely opinion based. So far in your time, although it hasn't been a lot in the IFL, but what is one play or maybe one sequence of plays that you think really highlight yourself so far this season?
Um, that's a good question. I would say uh, the two plays that I've had super explosive runs on. Uh, well, two of the three have been, out of the high motion, which I feel. I'm gonna be honest. I don't feel comfortable when I'm in high motion. I'm like, dang, this feels a little weird running the ball from this, far back. But some reason I'm making plays out of it. Um, sorry. Yeah, so for some reason I'm making plays out of that high motion. Um, but I'm kind of getting used to it now. Because at first few games, I heard the announcers even say like, he's got to get used to the timing of the high motions, because my motions were a little bit off, and just getting the timing down. So I feel like those are my like the sequences of plays is like running the ball out of high motion has been really well. So I would say that's what's kind of defining the play a little bit.
Love it. Love it. Well, Caleb, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We know you have a game tonight that you need to prepare for. So I wanted to give you the floor one last time before you get out of here to say anything to fans, friends, family, anybody you want to kind of shout out or say a few words to.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in and watching my interview. I know some of you probably are getting to know who I am just now, rookie running back in Tulsa. But I just want you guys to know, keep watching. I'm going to keep putting on the show for everybody. And also, like, just me putting on the show is a reminder to everyone in even the higher leagues, CFL, NFL. I don't understand why they passed on me. So I'm going to remind them every week, that I'm the player that, you need in a positive way, though, just trying to, showcase my abilities and my team, showcase my team and win games here. That's what I want to do, win a championship here in Tulsa. And Tulsa fans out there, keep supporting us Oilers. We're going to, continue to work hard and do what we got to do to make you guys proud. You guys support us every week and you guys show up big to the game. So what we got to do is win games for you guys. So I want to shout out my family, my mom, my brothers, my sister, and also my two children. I have two kids, Maya and Shalia, and then their mom, Bella. I want to shout her out, the mother of my children, for supporting me and taking care of me while I'm out here playing football. So she does a lot for me, Bella, and I thank you for everything you do for me. So just want to shout them out.
Hey, I love that. One thing that we're very aware of as analysts and fans of the leagues is that it's incredibly important to have a good support system around you. So, shout out to, the mother of your children, Bella, as well as your family that have obviously made it very possible for you to be here with Tulsa today and, showcasing the kind of player you are. So, Caleb, thank you so much for your time this morning, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we're very excited for what's to come for you. I think you're about 350 yards in 5 games, which is unheard of. So, I mean, honestly, I think there's only positive things to come for you, man. So best of luck the rest of the way, and we're very excited to see what you can do tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much. Tune in tonight. It's going to be a great game between us two great teams, and it's going to be a show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely keep track of what's going on with you, buddy.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you guys for having me. You guys have a good one
today. All right. Once again, that was Caleb Ramsier, running back. Again, he mentioned he spent 2 years at Nevada before he ultimately ended up in the IFL, and he kind of came out of left field, signed with Tulsa, like he said, about week 6, and then like almost immediately started performing pretty well. And it's not lost on some of us out there that, again, he's playing for Billy Back and the same coaching staff that helped get Justin Rankin outdoors. So let's hope that we can see the same fate for him long term, because he's a heck of a back that brings a lot to the table. But we're going to transition a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the expansion coming into the IFL. One thing that I've been doing a lot of digging research on is this Austin franchise. I didn't know a ton about what was coming out. I had heard a couple people mention a name, Vivian Lynn, who has been involved in the IFL for a couple of years now. She was with the San Diego Strike Force for a little while, and now this is her venture launching the Austin team that will be coming in 2027. However, there is a caveat to this that I found very interesting. So Vivian Lynn runs a company called Draft Entertainment and Sports, or Sports and Entertainment. Sorry if I got that backwards. And I wanted to read a very specific quote from her profile that I thought might lend a little bit of some insight into how this team is planning on running it. But she describes her company Draft as this. It redefines what it means to be a stakeholder in the entertainment industry. Our proprietary platform takes passive fans and turns them into authenticated participants through the stakeholder framework that unlocks access, resale rights, and real-world rewards via blockchain, NFC, and secure marketplace infrastructure. So I posed this question to our group chat last night. We all know that the Green Bay Packers are a publicly owned team that has kind of sold off ownership shares to fans in the city of Green Bay and around the country, obviously. So I want to kind of pose this question to everybody in the chat, pose this to TJ. Could you see a formula where fans can buy into an IFL team working at this level? So that's kind of the first question I'm going to give to you there, TJ.
Well, I mean, technically it wouldn't be the first time it's been done, right? I mean, fans didn't necessarily own teams, but it's been attempted before. It's been done before in the IFL, in the FCF as well. With really fan engagement, fan interaction. This one obviously would be more of a crowd, kind of like a crowdfunding team, instead of being involved in play calls. Correct?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be, the coach or the fans are, having a say in building the roster, play calls, or anything like that sort. This is very much centered around taking fans and allowing them kind of to invest in these leagues and be a part of ownership, So to what extent, I'm not really sure quite yet, but it's definitely an interesting aspect. But go ahead, TJ. Sorry about that.
Oh no, no problem, man. Yeah, I mean, I could see it catching on. I mean, who doesn't want to own a franchise? Especially if you're a fan of the game already. It's a new team, so they're gonna look fresh. They're gonna have new field, everything else. Everything that comes with being a new team. I kind of like the concept. I want to see what it looks like in more detail. Because obviously just seeing that, it's kind of vague. I would like to see the actual, like, in-depth details of it to see, like, if you actually like, what do you actually gain from it, or is it, I mean, I highly doubt it is, but is it basically kind of like a gimmick, or is it real ownership kind of thing? You know what I mean? Because I have a few Packers fans as friends, and they say it's mixed reviews. It's kind of like a gag thing being in ownership. But if you can legitimately be in ownership, that would be another wrinkle that you know you wouldn't be able to do really in any other sport.
Agreed, agreed. And obviously Adrian tuning in here, pretty cool as long as they have a concrete foundation for investing and it doesn't dip below a certain threshold and jeopardize the team. Sounds cool though. So that would be my first thing is like obviously if you're doing something like this, you have to make sure you retain ownership, majority ownership to make sure the team can't be sold, rebranded, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being the case, I would imagine that her company and Vivian herself will retain 51 to 55% of ownership in order to make sure that the team can never make any significant changes that would jeopardize that structure. So I don't want to speak for her because obviously this is a lot of assumptions, reading between the lines and stuff like that, but I just thought it was a very interesting aspect of what could come with this team in a very unique way of handling, a franchise because it's not something that we see a lot. Obviously, the Green Bay Packers are an outlier in the professional sports world. We don't have a ton of teams where you can go and purchase into that team unless you have a substantial amount of money in your bank account. So that's not true for the vast majority of us fans in these indoor and arena football leagues. So if that's the case, and you can take whatever it may be, 20, $30 or $100 or maybe it's 300 bucks, whatever, and buy a very small portion of a team. That's kind of a cool little extra reason to root for that team. And Adrian mentions this point right here. Yes, there was a team, the Screaming Eagles, and I think later on they actually owned the Colorado Crush as well. At the same time, I don't know if they incorporated the fan aspect, but you were allowed to call plays. You were allowed to, I believe, have some input on the roster structuring each week, and then it progressed into them being the Fan Control Football League in I think it was 2022 when they launched, and they were around for a couple years. If you've been a fan of this network for a very long time, you know that we were huge into the FCF. I was a huge fan of it. I really liked the thought process and the fan interaction behind it. So I used to go on there. I'd call plays. I'd kind of vote for people to win awards and all that stuff every week. And I know TJ, you and I have talked about that a lot. Would love to see the FCF come back or aspects of it, return in other leagues. So hopefully they come back at some point. But that's kind of the main piece of the news or something on there that I wanted to speak on. But I also found it very funny is that about a year ago, Vivian wrote an article about the growing sports market in Austin, Texas. And here we are, exactly or around a year later, and she's launching a professional football team in Austin, Texas. So it's almost like she was leaving the breadcrumbs a full year ago, much like, as we know, the IFL always has that long lead up. So while this may have felt somewhat sudden for some of us fans, it looks like this has been in the works behind the scenes for a very long time, much like every other team in the IFL. But we're going to talk about the upcoming games tonight, do our quick picks, and then we will go ahead and take a quick commercial break and move on to the next segment. We should be joined by a very special guest in the very near future. And we will get into that. Give me just a second to get the picks pulled up. TJ, any other subjects or anything you wanted to cover on the IFL today?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, how about this then? I don't want to put you on the spot. We have something that's going to be coming out today that we've been teasing for for quite a while. In fact, here, let me just go ahead and play this quick little spiel, and then I'll give you a chance to talk on it.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now, because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans, and thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.
So I wanted to throw this out there before we launch, which will be coming later on today, hopefully. We've had some issues with the mailing list sign up. So if you have had issues trying to sign up for the mailing list on the website, do me a favor, drop your email address in the comments, or DM me directly, or DM the Shady Sports Network page. We'll make sure we get you on there. But TJ, I'll give you a chance to speak on the magazine coming out.
Well, first off, man, it has been an incredible journey the last probably a couple months, from really, I mean, we've really been on and off talking about this concept for probably like a year now, maybe even longer. Finally kind of drawing out an outline and then reaching out and actually having a lot of guys from the network want to get in on it. I was not expecting that, because it is a big ordeal to take on, and me and Sam talked about that beforehand. He was warning me. He was like, "Don't be beside yourself if no one really wants to jump on it." But not only do we have people get in on it, they've been great this whole process. Literally, I had a feeling it was going to be great the second we started the magazine chat, and I asked the most nerve-wracking question of which league does everyone want to cover, because I was expecting a fight. And just like it just happened naturally, where everybody just picked a different league to focus on. So not only are you getting information on these leagues, but excuse me, but you're also getting people who picked the specific leagues they're talking about. So their focus, their favorite leagues. So you're getting the best out of everybody involved. I'm almost afraid to, Sam, can you list the name? Because I butcher last names, but I do want to give shout outs to everyone involved in the magazine.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Cody Bryant. You guys see him on this show every Saturday. We would be doing everybody here a disservice if he did not cover the IFL. If you haven't watched his breakdowns on his channel in the alley, I strongly recommend it. I will preach that guy's knowledge and intelligence to anybody who will listen, as far as I'm concerned. So he did the IFL section, so it's very well done. So definitely look out for that. TJ and I kind of broke up the AF1 section. So we kind of did a breakdown on each team, talked about some players to highlight, stuff like that. We got Matt Rizier. I believe, if I remember correctly, he did the AAL and had some.
AL.
What's up?
AAL, NAL.
Oh, that's right. NAL. NAL. I should have known that. So if you haven't read him yet, he does all of our NAL and AAL weekly articles on the website, shadysportsnetwork.com. So, he's in it. He lives it every week. He's breaking down each team, each game. So make sure that you check his sections out as well. We had Brian Mathern, huge Louisiana indoor football fan. If you've heard or talked or thought about the Louisiana Voodoo or the Rougarou or the Greenheads or, the Bayou Bucks, et cetera, et cetera, he's talked about them, been involved, so he actually did the TAL section as well as a Louisiana football history section. And then Matt also got involved with some of the, he called it indoor and arena football relics, and kind of just discussed some of the teams that have gone by the wayside over the past couple of years. But we're actually going to transition real quick. We're very excited about launching the magazine, and we will definitely be looking forward for that coming out later on today. Again, if you have not signed up yet, make sure to shoot me a DM or, send your email address on here if you're comfortable with that, and we'll get you signed up to get the first ever edition. But excuse me, we're going to transition real quickly. We're going to
You forgot Shane.
Sorry. I am so sorry. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Shane Majoris.
I don't want to forget him.
Has been extremely crucial to everything we've done. He covered the AL2. He's been doing a lot of the graphics for the AL2 page, as well as just general good guy. Been making it to a lot of the Wheeling Miners games, and then also the Pittsburgh Outlaws as well. So very excited to have him a part of that. I'm so sorry, Shane. I cannot believe I forgot to list you. You were in the back of my mind when I said the AL section. And then, just kind of skip forward when I saw our next guest jump on. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring on AJ Roquet with the American Arena League. As you all know, big news out of the AL this week as they announced not one, but two expansion franchises for 2027. So big thing coming. And without further ado, here's AJ. How's it going, AJ?
What's up, fellas? Good. How are you guys?
Doing great. I made a little joke this week, whether people know it or not. My birthday was Thursday, and I got not one but two gifts from the AL this week. So talk to me a little bit about not only announcing one team on Wednesday, but also announcing a second team on Thursday with the Montgomery Catfish.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, especially for the Montgomery team. That's been under wraps since, I don't know, February, January. And Quentin out there in Texas and San Antonio, that came about maybe March, early March. We're just excited. We wanted to get those teams out there now, because, seasons get ready to come to an end, right? The indoor world for some leagues and stuff. And right, we just wanted to make sure we strategically, announce those teams beforehand. Right. It's always a reason, right? These teams will not be by themselves, especially in Texas.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because that was one of the first questions that was prompted by the expansion announcements is, how does Texas make sense for the AL? So without giving too much away, can you kind of explain to us why the Wild Hogs were added to the AL that is primarily on the eastern side of the country?
Just to help, I mean, just to help with travel later on, as we expand for 2027.
Kind of a difficult subject to dance around there.
Yeah, but you can always shift around it.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody can kind of read between the lines a little bit there. But TJ, do you have any questions for AJ about either of the expansion teams?
Yeah. First off, like you just said, it's great to get them out now. That way they have literally the entire offseason to build brand awareness, get players, coaches, everything like that. Um, what went into the process, if you can speak on it, in determining that these were the best two expansion teams so far to bring on to the league?
When Kevin reaches out, well, not reaches out, but when these teams get vetted and stuff, Kevin does a thorough investigation, right, on these teams and what they present, right, and what they give them. And there's been more than those two that have tried to get in, and unfortunately, not everybody does. But again, man, we're so excited for these two. I just we just gotta wait for more for more news.
Agreed. So, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, given that we are kind of in the back half of the season at this point, talk to us a little bit about how the playoffs will work for the AAL. How are you going to structure the playoffs, and how can we expect that kind of to unfold as fans?
Yeah, all teams will go to playoffs, all four. It's basically how it's going to play out is Wheeling, Jersey, and Columbus, Mississippi. And whoever wins those two matchups, is seeing a championship. I always like to keep it nice and clear, right? No confusion.
There is something to be said about that. And do you mind speaking on the AAL2 playoff scenario as well?
Yeah. So there'll be the top three teams in each division, with the number one team having a bye first round. That starts for the South. First round of playoffs start on June 20th. And then the East and the North, they start the 13th. And the reason why they start the 13th is they both have to play, 2 games in their respective divisions. And then the winner out of those 2 divisions will play each other to go to the championship.
Makes sense.
And then that would be June 27th. So then, after June 27th, both, we'll see who's in the playoffs, both teams. In the championship.
Very nice.
So South.
TJ, do you have any other questions?
Oh yeah, speaking on the AAL2, have there been, just out of curiosity, any teams that have inquired about moving up within the AAL2 umbrella that the leagues have created?
There has, but I just don't think there will be any from there for next year. At the moment.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I absolutely love the direct ramp up structure that you guys have. I used to love it back when the AFL and AF2 had it, and now that the AL and AL2 have it again, it's just I just love the structure. It's immediate step up, immediate opportunity, everything like that. I just love it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We always wanted to give guys an opportunity because guys go to try out the stuff and coaches tell them, "Oh, go get more experience." Well, where are they going to go? Right, and that's where the AL2 comes in.
Perfect example. I love it. So talk to us a little bit. Obviously, we've discussed the expansion for 2027. You've already got 2 teams coming on board. Obviously, you announce 2 teams. Typically, that spurs, action from other teams. Hey, I've got another team coming in my area. Maybe I need to check this league out after all. Stuff like that. Obviously, we're adding 2 teams to the AAL. Have there been any teams that have reached out about joining the AAL2 for 2027 as of yet?
There has been, but nothing serious right now. So again, we'll see once this off season hits.
As an organization, how is it for you guys to balance that? You have 2 leagues. that are, they're similar but not the same, right? You obviously have two very different structures. How do you go about balancing, trying to add to the AL2 and then add to the AL, but kind of make sense from a bigger perspective?
Kevin really oversees the AL, and I take care of the AL too. And that's really how we split it down the middle, right? I really have nothing to do with the AL right now, right? Personally, I stay with the AL too, and it's just easier that way for us, and it works, right? It's working right now. And as we grow, right, we'll have more people, helping out in both. But you got to start somewhere.
Of course. And I wanted to ask, and you don't have to get into this in too much detail if you don't want to, but was that by design? With Kevin being the AAL commissioner rather than, you serving in both capacities as a head coach and the commissioner in the same league?
No, definitely. It's a lot. It's so much. And, that was, on purpose, for us to split and, look over both leagues.
Makes sense. Divide and conquer type thing.
Exactly.
TJ, do you have any other more questions for AJ?
Kind of a question, also an observation. As the AL season's gone on, I personally have noticed when I watch the games, the views are continuously climbing, which means more popularity, more attention on the league. Do you have any plans maybe this offseason to boost that even more going into next season?
Yeah, there's some streaming things in the background going on. Even right now, I'd say there's been 4 games that we've had on a streaming platform as a test run right now that we've been doing. And we should see a lot more eyes, right? And their test run and that streaming partner, they're on Comcast network. So, there's things we've been doing on the backside. It's been very, very quiet. And right, we don't never put things out unless they're 100% true and ready. Like we just don't do that, and we don't want to do that. So I know a lot of people think we're not doing things and such, but we're moving behind the scenes. It doesn't matter what it looks like right now, right? It's tier 1. I think I said it before a while ago. We first started with the AAL coming out that let's talk about it in 3-4 years.
That's a fair point. And one more question before we let you get out of here for the day. I know you got some other things going on this morning. Some of the things that fans have talked about is kind of the social media. They would like to see some improvement, as well as like you mentioned, kind of the streaming platforms. That would be a little bit easier. If it would be a little bit easier for them to find games, I think some of the viewership might climb. So, I know we've talked off camera about some of the plans to improve some of these things going forward. Can you speak on some of the things that you anticipate seeing for 2027?
Oh, definitely social media, like boosted. Could see a new website, like new everything. Like this year was just about playing games, right? People want to see games being played. And then, in our off season, we just talked about this. We don't care if we're talking about like social media and everything. Like we're gonna attack that like full head of steam in off season. So it's a plan. You just don't want to roll everything out, right? We're new. We want to make sure to take steps and make sure we're doing things right. And it's all right if people don't like that or have other opinions. It's all right.
I would describe it as a methodical approach. Like you said, let's get the season going. Let's get the league off the ground. And then, we'll improve things as we move forward.
Exactly.
Hey, results speak for themselves.
And that's why people call.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But AJ, is there anything else you want to leave fans with before we'll let you get out of here for the day?
No, just thank you for our fans that we have now, and that follow our teams we have, and our two teams that we announced, this past week, I can promise you there's plenty more. And some of the names that are going to follow these teams that come in here, people are going to be like, wow. And I'm just going to say, told you.
That's fair for sure.
No, sometimes you get on here and I'm listening to this, you just hear people talking. It's like, you have no idea what you're even talking about. It's kind of crazy. Like, it really is, especially like, here's one for you. It's like Wheeling. Wheeling's supposed to go to, AF1. They're supposed to go here. They're supposed to go there. Columbus is going here. Columbus is going there. Man, if I can tell you some things that's going on, they're not going anywhere. I don't care what people say, people hear. We're not telling other leagues that, oh, we got this team and that team. No, you don't. It's wild. It's wild.
That's a good way to describe it. It's like the Wild West. Everything flies, and we'll see what happens and when the dust settles. So it's going to be an interesting off season. I know that much.
Very, very interesting. I'm telling you, there's going to be some people like, they're going where?
I have no doubt, and I can't wait to, like I said, I can't wait to see the full picture after all the dust settles on all the leagues, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on this season for sure. But AJ, wanted to thank you so much for your time this morning. Like I said, I know you got some other things coming up here pretty quick, so thank you so much for joining us and talking on this. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on for the AL right now. The time is now to kind of grow this league, so I'm very excited to see what you guys got going on.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys. So
definitely. Well, we're looking forward to it, and we'll definitely be keeping in touch and keeping everybody informed of all the updates coming up.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Have a great rest of your day, man. We appreciate you coming on.
You too. Thank you.
See you next time.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So once again, that was AJ Roque, the owner of the AL, the head coach of the Bearcats, and the commissioner of the AAL2. A man of so many hats, it's hard to keep track of sometimes. He's got a lot on his plate, but he does a great job of kind of managing everything on top of, being a full-time head coach as well. So, TJ, we haven't really had much time to unpack these expansion teams that have come out, because obviously it just happened this week. So I'm curious. I mean, let's just get your overall thoughts on the branding, the announcements, everything we've had come out so far.
I mean, obviously it was exciting, to see Montgomery come in. I really like both teams. I like the logos. I like the color schemes. At first, obviously with, a Texas team, it kind of threw me off a little bit, but, hearing AJ talk about, trust me, there's more to come. It'll all make sense. I have no reason not to trust him. So it's going to be interesting to see not only what these two teams do, but also what possibly other teams or maybe just long term come in. Who knows? It'll be fun to see, really, just overall for the AL. But Texas team was a little surprising to me. Montgomery, we were kind of showing that graphic for a while, with the fish, with the fishing lure basically and stuff. So it was cool to see that finally come to fruition. But really, I'm just excited to see the AAL continue to grow. This season's been great with 4 teams. They've stuck to the mission that they put out in place before the season even started, and now you're starting to see it take form. And I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it from top to bottom. In my opinion, everything that you hear from the AAL, they're doing it right, and that's what you hope. That's what you want, really, all the leagues to do, because we're all fans. We all want to see them succeed. So.
Right. And that's the main thing that we really kind of need to get out there, right? While we do directly work with the AL, as you all know, we have a big hand in some of the social media stuff going on right now. And we are a big part of the people that need to improve a little bit. And I'm sorry, Shane, you're doing a great job. I don't mean that towards you. I mean that towards me. So, we need to kind of improve the messaging and stuff coming out from the league. But as a whole, I believe the AL is doing a great job. There has been some issues with scheduling and stuff, but some of that stuff was out of their control to an extent. We're past that point. The Nailers have lost in the playoffs. The Wheeling Miners should not have any more issues in terms of scheduling the rest of the way. and they should be able to make up some of those games and get back right where they need to be on schedule and ready for the playoffs, as we just spoke about. So great news there as well for the AAL, which obviously we know for a minute there, I think it was like 3 weeks in a row, we had some sort of reschedule for the minors. That's incredibly tough as a professional football team or professional sports team in general. You reschedule an event, people have to completely remake their plans to make it to that game. A lot of people are honestly probably not going to come, especially if you're rescheduling for a weekday, and you take a big hit. A lot of those teams, specifically with indoor football teams, have to issue refunds, and I know for a fact that was one of the situations that Wheeling had to deal with. So kudos to Chris Duffy there in Wheeling, who was able to make it right for fans, and hopefully going forward he can get all his games in and finish out the season on a high note, because they've had a really good year. Some of this hockey stuff has overshadowed some of the games they've played, but let's not forget that the season kicked off between Wheeling and Columbus, and Wheeling took Columbus to the wire. So there could be some really fun games coming up in the near future as we move into the AAL playoffs. But any other thoughts there before we move back on to the next league at hand? All right, so we're gonna do things a little bit differently because of how things popped up with AJ coming on when we did. So we're gonna save all of our picks for one section. We'll run through all of our picks, IFL, NAL, TL, all that stuff all at once. So stay tuned for that. Also, a slight scheduling change. I was just informed that one of our guests, Jair Stevens, is not going to be able to make it on this morning due to a personal matter that has popped up kind of last second. We're going to reschedule that interview for the future to get him on. If you have not followed along, Jair Stevens is defensive lineman with the Southwest Kansas Storm, has been having a great season, but it's been kind of undersold how much of an impact he's had on the Storm. So we wanted to get him on and give him an opportunity to kind of talk about his impact on the team and all that. But instead, since he will not be making it on, we will move on. We will do our NAL playoff preview, because as we all know, the playoffs kick off for the NAL this week.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
That's right. The playoffs are here. It's finally time for playoff football, and man, do we have a couple good games coming up. But before we get to that, we'll take a quick commercial break, and why not hear from a word from our sponsor, the Columbus Live.
How many times a week?
Like three or four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
And Grant Russell into the end zone, touchdown! Russell has to step up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets that three-step drop, here comes the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Russell, pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside. Like I said, he ain't taking a slide. Russell steps up, lets one go, Robinson makes the circus catch. Going to alert snap, here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete, and making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell, back to pass, looking, he has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall.
All right, we're back. Let's talk about the NAL playoffs. A lot to unpack here. It was a crazy week of games this past week. We saw Colorado win a clutch game that ended up giving them a little bit of seeding help there. So definitely excited to see what these games can unravel this weekend. But let me go ahead and pull up the playoff bracket real quick. A better producer than me would have had this already pulled up during the commercial break, but hey, we won't talk about that too much. I'm only a half-ass producer if you haven't paid attention to my tagline from time to time here. So let's get this pulled up though. Definitely going to be a couple good games this weekend between, I believe, Salina and Colorado and Sioux City and Omaha. As if we haven't seen Sioux City and Omaha play enough, they will face each other for the playoffs, which adds a little bit extra spice to this upcoming game. So, TJ, as you can see the playoff bracket right here, boom, we have Southwest Kansas and Pueblo Punishers will be gifted a bye due to their records and how the last couple games unfolded this past weekend. We will have Salina versus Colorado in Salina at the Tony Event Center, and then we will have Sioux City hosting Omaha and another installment of the I-29 rivalry. So I wanted to get your thoughts on both of these games, and feel free to dive into the detail if you would like. Who do you have winning these games, and what playoff matchups are we looking to next week when Southwest Kansas will take on the lowest seeded team and Pueblo will take on the highest seeded team?
Man, well, I mean, it's been a long year. It's been a long year if you're a Beef fan, right? You start off 0-5, only to make a lot of changes and flip the script and go 5-0 down the stretch, avoid a losing record, and make the playoffs yet again. They're on a heck of a run. And who do they get to face in the playoffs? Sioux City, a team that they only, kind of know, right? So many big matchups, championships between these two teams over the years. And here's another big game, playoffs. The game they just played a few weeks ago was big for the Beef to keep their playoff hopes alive. They ended up pulling off the last second victory. I think it's going to be a very similar game to the last matchup, and not so much obviously early on in the season where Sioux City kind of had their way with the Beef. It's going to go down to the wire. Obviously, as a Beef fan, I'm going with the Beef. I think the Beef are going to pull the upset off and travel to Southwest Kansas next week. But yeah, I think it's going to be a hard hitting game. It's really going to depend on really how the Omaha offense, I think, can handle the Sioux City defense. Last matchup, they did a much better job. Didn't play perfect by any means, but they were able to take better control of the ball, get points on the board, and make Sioux City on the defensive side then for Omaha work for it. And they also made a lot of big plays, including that pick that really gave them the chance to take the lead and ultimately win in the end. Colorado and Salina, man, you have two teams to me that are very similar. Most weeks they're solid teams, but every now and then, they kind of, it seems like they take their foot off the gas pedal. Obviously, in a playoff game, you're going to get the best of both of these teams. I think this one is going to be close throughout, but I just can't help but feel like Salina, in the end, they're gonna figure out a way to either pull away in terms of make it too big of a score, double-digit points late in the fourth quarter to hold on to the win, and then they'll go to Pueblo next there for the semifinal game.
All right. I honestly should have expected the Omaha pick, obviously, but not at all surprised either way. I mean, let's be honest. The best part about these playoff games is they could literally go any way. Like, you can't. There's nobody on this planet right now that can tell me they know for sure that any of these teams is winning any of these games in the NAL playoffs yet. You can guess, you can predict, but there is nobody that can tell me they are 100% certain. I mean, right now you have Salina at home, which is higher seed than Colorado, but they just lost to Colorado last week. Sioux City has been up and down. At one point, 3 weeks ago, they still had a chance at the first seed, and then 2 losses later, we're questioning if they can even make it as a 5 seed. So now here they are as the 3 seed because of a very clutch win against the only undefeated team that was left in week 10, the final game of the season. So it really is just anybody can take a bracket, which is great for the National Arena League because I think all of these games are going to be incredibly competitive. They're going to be great football to watch. They're all great coach teams. I mean, what more could you want from a playoff bracket, quite frankly? So I'm very excited for the games tonight. I have a feeling we'll probably somehow, some way see Salina advance. Coach O he has a way with the playoffs every single year, it seems like. So, man, Sioux City and Omaha, I think is going to be a really fun game. I think it's going to end up being a really tight game. Everything in me wants to say Omaha can win this game. And obviously, I'm a little bit biased there. CJ, the offensive coordinator, he's my guy. We've been tied to Ricky for years in terms of our involvement with the Beef and whatnot. So I would love to say that the Beef can go in there and do that. But winning in Sioux City is extremely hard. Winning in the NAL in general on the road this season has been extremely hard. So I just don't know if you can feasibly pick the Beef on the road in Sioux City in this game. So with that being said, if we know what we know, there's a pretty good chance that both of these home teams come out with a win, and we see Salina versus Pueblo in Pueblo, and we see Sioux City versus Southwest Kansas for, I believe, the third time this season and second time in Kansas. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and pull this down, get us back on screen real quick. I was sent some data by a coach that I found very interesting that I was going to bring up real quick. I don't have a graphic to pull up. Should have perused a graphic for this because it, quite frankly, is some very interesting, very, very interesting data here. So basically, in the NAL this season, there has been a total of 42 games, which has worked out to a record for home teams of 26-16, a winning percentage of 61.9%. On the road, teams are obviously a flip-flopped 16-26 for a 38% win rate on the road. There is just one team that has a winning record on the road and at home, and I'm sure you all can guess which team that is given their record. But just some data there that I was sent to give a little context to these playoff games. That home field advantage that these teams were jockeying for at the end of the season, very, very crucial down the stretch, or could prove to be the difference in the playoffs matchups this weekend. So any other thoughts there for the NAL before we move on?
Well, I need a haircut, so it's a win-win either way. If the Beef don't win, I'm going to shave my head.
Good. It's good. We may not have Krish here, but we still have a bet that's going to get somebody's head shaved, so it's perfect. Speaking of which, Krish will be back next week for anybody who's wondering. Even the best players have to sit on the bench for a week. So he will be back. We will be very excited to have him back because let's be honest, this show's a hell of a lot more entertaining with him on it. But we're going to try and rein some things in and stop being a little bit we'll stop being so offensive all the time, hopefully. But we're going to hit a quick commercial break. We're going to transition over. We'll talk a little bit about the TAO. Shout out our guy Brian for something that he's been in the works on for a while. And then we'll come right back. We'll talk about the AF1, and then we'll close this bad boy out for the day. Not a ton of news, obviously, as we move into the playoffs. We've already talked about the AAL expansion. We've already had a standout running back on for an interview. And then, as mentioned before, our previously scheduled guest, defensive lineman Jair Stevens, was not able to join us. We will be rescheduling probably, hopefully, for 2 weeks from now or possibly right after the championship game. But we will go ahead and get Jair on. Great player, looking very, very good so far this season. So quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now, because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans, and thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
That's right. If you haven't done so already, make sure you share this stream with an indoor football fan in your life. And, if you don't have any friends that like indoor football, share it with a couple of your enemies. That's okay. We'll entertain them too. That's what we're here for. So with that in mind, we are going to transition over to the Arena League, TAL as it's known. And we wanted to shout out our guy, Brian. Look, Brian Mathern is probably the most dedicated indoor football fan in the state of Louisiana. And I can wholeheartedly prove this with actual paperback proof. And let me show you why. Because this is what we're shouting out for our guy, Brian, this morning. The 2026 Monroe Greenheads Media Guide that can be picked up right here on Amazon for the low, low price in paperback form of $5.67. So I just wanted to shout that out because it is 72 pages of information on the Greenheads, their coaching staff, their roster, the Arena League, the teams in the league. It is unbelievable how much work this guy has put into this media guide. And I quite frankly can't for the life of me understand why every team and league is not currently contacting Brian to have one of these made to be produced and sold in their arenas, because I can tell you with great certainty I have a paperback example that I cannot legally show on camera currently that is beautiful. And it's too bad that I can't legally show it, but that's a story for another day. Unfortunately, Brian was not able to produce the one that he had already previously made, but this one is out there. You can pick it up today. As you can tell, it is on Amazon right now. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for anybody who out there who may want to pick up a copy. Again, it's $6. I can tell you, Brian's not even getting royalties on this. He is quite literally doing this because he loves the state of Louisiana and indoor football. So what guy to support than somebody who is quite literally doing this because he can, not because he should or because he's making money on it. So super cool of Brian to do this to support his team in Louisiana. And it's not the first time. So excuse me. Brian is the man. I am a huge fan of his. And, as I said, we just dropped the link in the chat. If you have any issues getting to that, let me know. I'm pretty sure you can just search Monroe Greenheads 2026 on Amazon and you should be able to find it. But there were also some games, believe it or not, last week that we will get to, and we will talk a little bit about each game and how it unfolded, who's winning, who's losing in the TAL, and then we will circle back to our picks. Excuse me, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and pull up the TAL schedule real quick. Give me just a sec. By the way, the TAL schedule or the TAL website, slowly but surely getting better. It hasn't been great over the past couple seasons, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It's slowly improving. Slowly, but improving nonetheless. All right, so here are the games from the first week of action. As mentioned before, we had the St. Joe Goats take on the Arkansas Diamond in a Friday night kickoff, which was kind of like almost a primetime game because there was no other games played in this league. Then you had Eau Claire at Ozarks, Monroe at Iowa, and Memphis at Nebraska in a triple header that all kicked off at the exact same time. So, TJ, let's just kind of run down this real quick. First of all, how much of these games were you able to catch last weekend?
I watched the Friday night game, Goats and Diamonds. Diamonds, formerly the Wise Guys, coming off of a championship appearance last year. Unfortunately, didn't start off the way they wanted to. The St. Joseph Goats, they jumped on them early and kind of ran away with it. So you'll look for the Diamonds to kind of bounce back this week a little bit, and then the team that they're facing. I saw that game last week as well. The Axemen at the Lunkers. It was a pretty close game throughout, but the Lunkers pulled away in the fourth quarter. So that'll be a really interesting matchup for me to watch this weekend.
Fair point for sure. So definitely was some interesting games last weekend. As mentioned, the St. Joe Goats got their first win. Ozarks got a win over Eau Claire. Monroe got their first win, and Nebraska got their first win. So makes for some very interesting matchups this upcoming weekend. Eau Claire gets their home opener against the Arkansas Diamonds, Nebraska at Monroe, Iowa at Memphis, and Ozarks at St. Joe. But as mentioned before, we are going to circle back to our picks and do them all at once in one section. A little bit different today. But we're playing around with the structure of the show to see how it best format it and bring it to you in a more clear and concise way as we kind of move forward here. We're in I think year 4 going on year 5 of the show, so at some point it's got to get to the point where it's as good as it can get, and eventually we'll stop messing with things. But I get bored. I like messing with things, so here we are. So we're gonna move over to the AF1. There was a Friday night game last night. So, TJ, how much of that game did you catch last night?
Just about all of it. Obviously, towards the end, kind of wasn't watching it as closely because, well, the game wasn't that close either. But, early on, man, it was really good. I did not think when Beaumont took the 12-10 lead over Albany, that would be the last time they scored for the rest of the game. But hey man, that's Albany, man. They start off slow. They in game, they adjust, they figure out what you're doing, and then boom, they flip the script on you, and that's what you saw. Honestly, in my opinion, the biggest news from last night is Sam Casanova finally had an interception. That's that's like the biggest news coming out of Albany last night. But no, I mean it was just another good win for Albany at home. They had some calls early on that didn't necessarily go against them, but also didn't go in favor of them either. But they were able to overcome it, and as usual, turned it into a lopsided affair. And Kolka got to come in towards the end of the game, I believe, and kind of play because he started the first couple games of the season while Sam Castronova was up in the UFL. So just all around another great performance by the Firebirds.
Agreed. And honestly, the further we go, it literally just gets to the point where it's just comical now. Like, who's actually going to be able to beat Albany? They haven't lost in basically 2 seasons now. Will anybody be able to beat them? And it's not, I don't mean to laugh about it, because obviously you like to see competitive games, but also you got to respect what Albany's able to do. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they are kind of the cream of the crop, and until unseated, we got to give respect where it's due. So here are a couple transactions from this past week. A lot of moves here from Oregon and Oceanside as they kind of cycle their roster down the stretch, trying to get some momentum, hopefully find some pieces that will be returning for the future. Dakota Moore, College of the Redwoods, Joe Derek Lewis, Ball State, Adam Cruz from North Dakota, better known from his time as a Washington Wolfpack quarterback. You got Simeon Burns, a defensive specialist. Haven't seen that designation in a little while. Lewis Wilson and David Haney joining Oceanside. Oregon also released Rajon Williams, and Kentucky has placed a lot of players on recallable reassignment this year. Oceanside also loses Joseph Gordon, a defensive lineman, to IR. Any thoughts about any of these moves before we check out the other couple days this week?
Yeah, it's like you said with Oregon specifically, in my opinion, and Oceanside too as well. It's really the players that they're picking up, the new guys that they're bringing in. Are they necessarily playing for? I mean, obviously you want to win every week, but really, are they already looking ahead to next season with their current records? Maybe trying to find that diamond in the rough that they can get a jump on for next year and already have some pieces in place. I think that I'm not sure about. Well, I'd say I'm not sure about Oregon, but I mean, they're both not going to make the playoffs this year. Let's just be honest. So at the end of the day, plan for next year, get a jump on it, because while everyone else is still playing for this season, you can look ahead, and then next season can be that year that you're looking in the thick of things for the playoffs.
Very, very true. Let me cycle back because there's some moves on the 4th that Oregon and Oceanside also made quite a bit of stuff coming on here. Oregon has signed Ivan Corbin, recently released from the Omaha Beef. Jordan Barton also taking his talents to Oregon. Akeem Smith, a defensive lineman, also taking his talents north to Oregon. And then Jamison Willingham, hopefully I pronounced that correct. And then Oceanside has signed Marquise Lawson, Jaden Bowden, Jeffrey Bradley. And then we also have a couple moves there from Kentucky, bringing in Donovan Ollie, veteran wide receiver there, and Dejon Walden signing with Nashville. If I remember correctly, he spent some time with Albany, I want to say, in the past. So definitely an interesting move there. And then, as mentioned before, Oregon had released Adam Cruz, but apparently he came back. Devon Hayes, an offensive lineman, kicking around out there as well, released from Oregon. I think he's previously spent some time with Iowa Barnstormers. And then a couple other moves. Alberto Castaneda did not last very long in Washington. They also cut Jairus Gordon and Marcus Manuel, a wide receiver out of Andrew College. All right. Well, not a ton of huge moves. It's just more the bulk of the moves for Oceanside and Oregon that make you wonder about what's coming down the stretch, or if there is not something bigger going on there. Maybe they're really just trying to find some momentum down here, but seems like an abnormal amount of moves for both of those teams late here, especially when you have a losing record and there isn't really a hope of making the playoffs currently. But we have more or less exhausted most of the topics for today. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss from any of those leagues before we get to our picks for this morning?
I don't think so.
Awesome. We're moving and grooving today. 2 people, and we're getting through a show in 2 hours. Might not happen otherwise. So enjoy it while it lasts, people, because this is probably not going to happen next weekend. Just saying.
So we will. Picks, you never know.
That's true. That's true. Still have like half an hour though. I mean, I guess you could get pretty in depth with your picks. But all right, I'll give you the pick. Which league would you want to start with this week?
Ooh. Well, I mean, we kind of de facto already did the NAL, so.
True. I didn't think about that.
That's special though. They're in the playoffs already. So, let's do AF1.
Sounds good. So AF1 it is. Look at this. I'm even prepared. There's the schedule for you guys. All right, so we have some interesting games this weekend. 2 Sunday games, doubleheader on Sunday. That's kind of cool. They had a Friday game, they have a Saturday game, and then they've got 2 Sunday games. So Nashville versus Michigan, which has looked a little scrappy recently. They've had some pretty good games. They've been fairly competitive, so maybe this could be a competitive game. Kentucky versus Oregon in Oregon, so there's some hope there that Oregon could mount a little bit of a game there. And then Minnesota versus Oceanside, which I'm gonna say this could be the sneaky game of the week personally. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on these matchups this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Nashville, Michigan, in my opinion, is probably going to be the game to watch out of the 3 remaining, personally, for me. I think Michigan, like you said, they've been scrappy. They've been definitely have been playing at a higher level lately. But I just think Nashville is able to hold them off. I think it's a closer game than some people may give them credit for. I think Michigan's going to stick with them. They're going to give Nashville some fits, but I ultimately I do think the Cats win it. Both Kentucky and Minnesota. I mean, we just spoke on these 2 teams dropping guys, getting new guys because they're just trying to basically look ahead for next season already. Kentucky, after getting smacked by Minnesota last week, I look for them to take out some frustration on Oregon. And Minnesota, again, if they can play like they did last week against Kentucky, I hate to say it, but Oceanside may be ready to call it by halftime.
Man, that's a strong prediction, but Minnesota did look good the past couple weeks. Triple McGee says 20 straight wins for Albany, officially the record. Yeah, and just imagine that if they had won 1 game against the Billing Outlaws in 2024, they would literally be undefeated for 3 full seasons. That's nuts, the kind of success that they have in Albany. It's literally unprecedented, as you just mentioned, but man, I think I'm going to pick Nashville versus Michigan in Michigan. I think that's a fairly easy pick, although I do expect Michigan to keep this a really good game. Don't sleep on that Leota offense out there. Occasionally, they can definitely surprise some teams. Nashville's got a really good defense, though, so if they can get any sort of pressure on Malik Henry there, this could turn ugly pretty quick. Kentucky Barrels heading into Oregon. I'm sorry, Chuck. Give me Kentucky, and probably won't be very close if I'm being honest. It would not surprise me to see the deficit by 3 scores or more. And again, that's no That's no disrespect intended toward Oregon. Kentucky's a very, very good team, very well coached, and resource-wise, I think it's not even close. But it'll be interesting to see how this game unfolds. Minnesota going into Oceanside. I am probably going to pick Oceanside, and I know that's probably a hot take. I really like what Rudy Johnson and Jovan Tucker have developed out there in terms of their chemistry. It seems like Tucker in particular has played really, really well as of late. And Rudy Johnson is one of the better passers in the league, as well as one of the better run threats at quarterback in the league. If Oceanside, as Triple McGee said, can improve their defense a little bit, get some stops in this game, I think they could sneak out a win at home against Minnesota, which would honestly be just a huge, huge boon for the league in general to show a little bit more parity, because that's one of the things that has stuck out this year in the AF1 is the overall lack thereof when it comes to parity. And I don't mean this, again, as a disrespect. I mean, I don't care what league you put Albany, Nashville, and Kentucky in. They're probably going to be the cream of the crop. Minnesota, very good team, back-to-back championship winner in the TAL. They're 4-2 in the AF1. That should come as no surprise to anybody. Washington's much improved, but basically there's a good drop-off after Washington, and then it's Michigan, Beaumont, Oceanside, Oregon, who all have 2 or 1 win apiece. So there is kind of a huge gap there in between the top half of the league and the bottom half of the league. TJ, real quick before we move on, in a league like the AF1 where there is not a salary cap, I know we've touched on this before, but how do you try to introduce some more parity here?
I mean, you may already have it. I mean, you saw what, not to, obviously I'm a homer in this take, but you kind of saw what the Beef did in the NAL this year, switching up their roster and going on a run. I'm not saying Oregon or Oceanside may go on a run, but all these new guys, hey, you may not know what to expect from these teams when you face them down the stretch this season with new players. So they may pull an upset or some upsets. Again, add to that good parity of the league at any given game kind of mentality. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't even know if it's necessarily purely about salary. I mean, obviously the salaries bring in the better players, but it feels like in every league you have a couple teams that are just top heavy, both in stats and in the standings. And I mean, in some leagues, it's a runaway with just 1 or 2 teams. The AF1 realistically has basically 4 of those teams, and then they have Washington, who's making a little bit of a comeback surge here. So honestly, I think the AF1 is probably collectively one of the more competitive leagues when you look at the amount of teams that are like stacked right on top of each other in the standings.
I guess I didn't really look at it that way. And I guess when you really think about it, Albany's kind of the only team that's running away with it. And I didn't really think about it that at first, but that's a good point that they really do. I guess in the, from 2 down, there's quite a bit of parity, I guess, at that point. I really hadn't looked at it that way. So that's a good point. Thank you, TJ, for giving me a new perspective. So we'll move on to picking this week's AAL games. We have the Wheeling Miners at home taking on, hold on just a sec. Actually, scratch that. We'll move on to the TAL. Let me pull up the AAL games. Here are the TAL Week 2 games. So who do you have in Week 2 for the TAL?
Okay, well, I mean, you have a lot of good matchups here. Obviously, both the X-Men and Diamonds, neither one played up to par last week. I'm picking Eau Claire. They're at home, and in their loss last week, they looked like they had the better performance between these two teams, and they both faced good teams. So I'm going to pick Eau Claire in that one. The Siege and the Greenheads, both first-year franchises, both coming off of wins last week. Man, to see the highlights from the Siege game though, man, they were just all over the place. They got all over the Hound Dogs. So I'm going to pick the Siege in a close one. Then the Iowa Woo, Memphis Hound Dogs, both teams coming off of lackluster losses last week. Iowa did look better in their loss though. I know Memphis is at home. The place is going to be rocking, pun intended, but I think the Iowa Woo, the slightly more experienced team, are going to come in and get the win there. And then in the battle of veteran teams, you have the Lunkers and Goats. That one for me is a toss-up. I'm going to go with the Goats just because they're at home, but both teams defensively caused turnovers last week, were stifling to the offenses, and offensively both teams were able to put up points on the board and pull away. So it's going to be close, but I'll go with the Goats on that one.
All right. I'm going to have to pick Arkansas at Eau Claire. I do think that Eau Claire is hopefully trending the right direction moving forward, but Arkansas is a really good team with a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball. And I honestly think that that Bones is coming out of week one with a chip on his shoulder because he is not happy with his team's performance versus the Goats. And the next game here, Nebraska at Monroe, this is going to be a really, really good game. And honestly, I'm not even sure which way to pick this one. Nebraska, I've talked all season about for the talent they have on both sides of the ball and the way they built their roster. I'm a very big fan of. Monroe has probably the best coaching staff in the league. And I mean, no disrespect to any other staff, but when you have James Shiver and Terry Bowden on the same staff, it's kind of hard to compete with that. So with that being said, I typically tend to lean toward coaching over players. But in this one, I think I'm going to actually pick Nebraska on the road in Monroe. Very excited to see Monroe's setup. Justin Klein on Twitter shared photos of the Monroe Greenheads field, and it looks really, really good. So excited to see that. Memphis also opening at home. Very excited to see what their field looks like as well. I've got them over Iowa. Iowa definitely needs to find a way to get their momentum rolling, but I don't think it's going to be this week against Memphis. Ozarks at St. Joe's. I'm going to lean on the home team here again. St. Joe's gave me no reason in week one to believe that the Ozark Lunkers are going to go in there and beat them at home. And I believe that ultimately the Goats will only get better down the stretch as things go on. Keep in mind, both quarterbacks, as we found out last week, that they had initially planned to start for them had not reported, resulting in a situation where they were playing their defensive back who played some quarterback last season. At quarterback again, he played really well. They got the win, but there could be some improvement at that position down the stretch. So the AAL games tonight, we have the Maryland War Eagles versus the Wheeling Miners in Wheeling. The first home game for the Miners since Friday, I believe May 15th. Don't quote me on that. Who do you have in this game, TJ?
Wheeling is going to be so happy to be home, finally getting to play again in front of their home fans. I'm picking them in a big way.
I like how you put that, very politely. Very politely. Carolina Predators travel down to Columbus to take on the Lions. 2 media members will be on site. Fred Elliott will be there, as he has announced, and he will be the guest of the Columbus Lions. And speaking which, I meant to talk about one more thing on the Lions. We'll get to that in just a bit. But who do you have in this game?
I'm going to go with the home team again. I'm going to go with the Lions. I think they're going to get some good work in tonight.
I apologize. The second media member is our own Matt Razier, who will be in place tonight. He was initially going to go to the Mississippi game, but that game has unfortunately been canceled due to a forfeit The Tri-City River Gators were not able to get enough players to travel down to Mississippi to face the Wolfpack, so they have gotten the forfeit victory, and Mississippi gets a much-needed bye to hopefully get things tuned up and ready to rock for next week. So definitely, if you're down there, go say what's up and go meet one of our Shady Sports Network guys who will be on site at the Columbus game. Also, go say what's up to Fred Elliott, who will be on site as well. One thing I wanted to talk about with Columbus, and let me see if I can find the post real quick. There was a video that got put out by the Lions this week that was talking about their housing. Did you see that video?
Yes, I did, and I'm very jealous I don't live there.
Right. And that's exactly how I felt coming away from that. I can't seem to find the post at the moment. So I apologize on that front. I should have had this prepared. I meant to talk about this in the AAL section. Oh, here it is. Hold on just a sec. And by the way, whoever produced this video, really well done video. I love the Friends theme song as well. Hold on, let me shift over and play this for you guys. And again, this is right on the Facebook page for the Columbus Lions. So if you want to watch the full video, hop over there. But this just kind of shows you the kind of housing and amenities that are provided to Columbus Lions players, because I think this is something we need to highlight. There aren't a lot of times that players out there are treated quite like this in indoor football, and this is amazing to see. So.
Lions fans, what's going on? Come inside. Welcome to our house. I'm going to show you the living room first. We got Kenyatta playing some games.
That's good, man. We on Madden right now. You know what I'm saying?
And we got a nice big kitchen right here where Grant's whipping something up.
Man, I'm just chopping up some strawberries, but you want to go see the.
So as you can see, this is a very nice house, very nice rooms, and like what TJ said, very jealous. I don't live there. Like I live in a house, but my house is not that nice. So kudos to the Columbus Lions organization for taking care of their players. I apologize, and I totally slipped. There is a jersey game this week as well. Hold on just a second. I cannot believe I did that. I apologize. AJ, if you're watching, the Jersey Bearcats do play this week, as we just mentioned.
So much shameless plug. The magazine helped me remember that game is here.
There you go. There you go. Now, do you know who they play? Because I cannot remember off the top of my head at the moment. CNY Blue Devils. I'm sorry. I should have remembered that. You can catch this game on PDF Sports Network. Also, you can catch the Columbus Lions game. I believe they've been streaming the games on Facebook and YouTube and at the same time. Mike Davis throwing out there that I'm all over the place this morning. So that is accurate for sure. And then you can catch the Jersey game on PDF Sports Network on YouTube. Wheeling Miners have their own channel on YouTube as well if you would like to watch their game. So finally, let's get to the IFL picks. Let me pull those back up. For whatever reason, the screen changed. Not that I'm super proud to say this. Normally, I'm 2 Red Bulls in. I'm trying to cut back, okay? It's only 7:49 where I'm at, so trying to keep the heart attacks to a minimum.
You gotta go with the Java.
No coffee for me, thank you. All right, so we've got Iowa at Orlando. Sorry, what was that, TJ?
Just Red Bull, no coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep mine nice and synthetic. So yeah, Iowa and at Orlando, and Iowa is a 13.5 point underdog to Orlando. Do you have Iowa covering the spread in this game?
You know, it's ironic that it's just the two of us here because I'm actually picking the Pirates this week. You know, I'm picking them and I'm taking the points. That's mainly because they are at home as well. But I feel like if it was in Iowa, the spread would be like a coin toss. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Pirates minus 13.5. Not quite sure about the over, but definitely taking the Pirates with the spread.
Fair point. Fair point. I'm gonna have to agree with that. Iowa has been arguably worse this season than in years past, and I personally think that the Pirates are going to walk all over them. The Pirates also made a couple of key additions this week on their offensive and defensive line, so I do think that those will be pretty important moves down the stretch for them, and could pay off pretty heavily in this game. Now, this next spread I feel is a little egregious, but the way the Jacksonville's been playing, I guess I understand it. What do you think about a 13.5 point spread in this game? San Antonio at Jacksonville.
Yeah, the spread in this one, 13.5, and this one makes it really difficult. This one is a coin toss with the spread. I mean, obviously, Jacksonville straight up at home, but with the point spread, I'm not too certain. I am thinking the over, though, just because of how Jacksonville's been lately and how the Gunslingers have been known to kind of give up points this season. So I'll go with the over on that one, and I'll take Jacksonville. But I think I'm going to stay away from the spread. I'm just going to take them straight up.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point on this game. I do think Jacksonville will probably ultimately cover the spread, but it does feel like a little bit of a big gap. San Antonio has been able to score points at times. I also think that over-under is a little bit low. So I think I'd probably take the over in this game. Much like you said, Jacksonville, when they score points in bunches. So it wouldn't surprise me if, they turn around and are almost single-handedly responsible for the over in this game. So I would definitely pick Jacksonville in this game. I'm a little iffy on the spread there, so we'll see. But I could definitely see them hitting that over pretty comfortably. Wouldn't surprise me to see this be an 80, 85-point game or something of that sort. Tulsa at Fishers. This is going to be probably a really, really good game. Who do you have in this game?
Man, this is like the tale of two teams. Every time I pick them, they lose that week. So I'll go with Fishers strictly because they're at home. So you got to give the nod to the home team, in my opinion, when it's a coin toss game. So I'll go with Fishers. Honestly, I'm 2.5 may not seem like a lot, but especially in the indoor game where you can score in different ways and everything else, man, I'm probably just going to take the straight up at minus 148. And over under, man, for some reason I'm thinking it's going to be just under. I mean, you're talking like a bad beat. If you pick the over, it's going to be like 85 or 86.
I could see that for sure. I could definitely see that. That over is probably spot on. Like you said, they're probably going to be somewhere between 80 and 90 points in this game, which, I mean, obviously that's going to make it a good game because there's going to be a lot of scoring going on. So Tulsa, as you guys just saw, has found a running game as of recently outside of just TJ Edwards. So I think they're definitely going to be able to move the ball up and down the field. Fishers has a really good defense. They're pretty opportunistic. They'll create turnovers in the game for sure. But however, they've been hot and cold at times this season, so I'm not really sure who to even pick in this game. It's really, man, 2.5 point spread is honestly pretty generous. I probably would have put this at just a 1 point game and made it a pick 'em because this is as close of a game as it can possibly get. I think I'll take Fishers at home just because they're at home, but I mean, I don't really feel super comfortable about that pick. In terms of the over under, like you said, I'm probably going to take the over, but as you could tell how I said that, I'm not real confident on that either. So I honestly, probably betting wise, I'm probably going to stay away from this game, to be quite frank with everybody, just because it's too close for me to call. Most of these other games are pretty lopsided. I mean, if you're going to bet, bet to win money, right? So at the end of the day, I'm probably going to, focus my money on some of these other games. And speaking of a lopsided game, we have our third game of the week that has a 13.5-point deficit, Green Bay at Quad City. Being a 13.5-point favorite on the road is pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. I don't have any other words for that. So obviously, I imagine you're picking Green Bay, but what kind of bets are you putting on this game?
Yeah, I mean, man, I want to pick Quad City at plus 13.5, but I've also witnessed some of the games this year that have kind of gotten away from them fast and early. So yeah, you got to go Green Bay. I don't know about the minus 13.5 though. I mean, that's a lot, especially like you noted for an away team coming in. I'll probably just, I mean, I can see Green Bay being up by multiple scores, like maybe 14, 17, somewhere in that range, but then Quad City getting like basically a window dressing touchdown or something at the end to get back into the spread. So I'm probably just going to go Green Bay straight up. Man, I'm kind of tempted to say the over, but my gut's telling me under. So I think that's going to be another borderline. It's probably going to hover right around there. Man, DraftKings is really amping it up this season.
No, it's funny you say that because I was just looking. I was like, man, Green Bay, that feels like a little high for the over. And then I apparently forgot about the fact that they had actually been in two 100 plus point games in May alone. A 105-point game against Quad City, as well as a 109-point game to open up the month. However, against Tulsa, they only scored 76 points. And then a week ago, they only scored 90 points total as a game. So that over under is really spot on, given what they did in the month of May. So if that's the case, and I think I'm actually going to take the under just based off the last two games alone. I mean, they just barely hit 90 points last week. The week before that, it was only 76. Quad City's defense, though, we'll see. We'll see. You could definitely see Green Bay have an offensive explosion in this game. Definitely picking Green Bay. Don't know about that spread, though. That's a pretty intense spread on the road. I would like to think Quad City can keep it closer than that. I don't know if I'm going to bet on Quad City and the points, though, however, either, though. So take that for what it is. Tomorrow's games, we have a doubleheader. We got New Mexico at Tucson, followed up promptly by Vegas at Northern Arizona. Clearly, we're all picking Northern Arizona because Mike Davis is in the chat. But no, who do you have in New Mexico and Tucson?
This is another one where I'm going to go with Tucson, just because they're at home. Points. You know what? I'll even take them with minus 4.5. And I'll take the over as well. I think they're just gonna get above that 75 mark.
I actually do agree on all three of those picks. I think that's a pretty low over-under number, and I do think they'll hit that, especially with Tucson having Jerome Johnson now. Their offense has looked a little bit better as of late. I do think they're going to win. Obviously, they're at home. New Mexico's been struggling, and I think it's a pretty safe bet that they'll probably win by a touchdown or more in this game. I don't expect it to be a blowout by any stretch. I probably see a scenario where Tucson pulls away late and then ultimately kind of salts the game away with the run game, with whether it be Jerome Johnson or, the running backs. We'll see. But with that being said, I definitely have Tucson, the over, and then also the spread. You can take them and the points. Vegas, 26.5 point favorites on the road at Northern Arizona. I thought 13.5 points on the road versus Quad City was bad, but holy cow. Are you taking Vegas, or would you take Northern Arizona on the points in this one?
Well, I mean, knowing Coach Davis is watching now, I mean, you put me on the spot with that one. No, 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 man, I'm, you know what? Honestly, man, I'm gonna, obviously Vegas straight up, but I'm feeling it. I'm thinking, I'm picking Vegas and the points. I'm picking Vegas minus 26.5. And I'm going to pick the over, man. I think it's going to be a bombs away kind of a game with points going up on the board from Vegas. In Northern Arizona, I think you'll see some drives of points out of them too to help with that over in terms of that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a solid runaway by Vegas tomorrow night.
Man, I don't know. 28 or 26.5 points is a lot of points. A lot of points. But let's keep in mind, it wasn't that long ago. They beat Orlando by 40. They beat Arizona by 14 on the road. Man, that's a big spread. That's a big spread. 4 touchdowns. Oh, man. Triple McGee says it's a stone cold lock. That they're going to cover the spread. That's crazy. Vegas covers all of it, he says. 28 points, basically. I mean, you figure 4 touchdowns or 3 and change. Maybe you miss an extra point in there or something, but holy cow, man. I'm definitely taking Vegas to win, regardless of the money line. I mean, you're going to win like nothing on that bet, but it's a lock. I mean, quite frankly, Mike Davis could go out there and start at quarterback himself and probably still win the game. Man, over. I'm going to take the over. I think they've consistently scored over 80 points in all of their games, regardless who they're playing. And then, I don't know about the points, man. I think I'd probably take Northern Arizona and 26.5. I would love to think that they can keep it within, 4 scores, hopefully, but that is crazy. I don't know that I've ever seen a spread quite that nuts before, at least in recent memory. Maybe you can, refresh my memory. Have you seen anything quite that big of a gap? I know there were some crazy ones up.
Wasn't there like an Iowa game earlier, like against Green Bay or something like that was like close to that?
I think it was close, but I want to say it was like 21 points.
Yeah,
I could be
but
wrong.
Then Green Bay ended up winning by like 30 something.
Something like that. So maybe there is some evidence here to say that Vegas is going to cover that spread, but that's nuts, man.
Honestly, thinking of that game made me say the points because I was like, it has happened already this season. So
that's a good point. And I mean, no disrespect to Northern Arizona, but I mean, if you're looking from a pure talent level, coaching, all that, you have to say Orlando overall is a better team than Northern Arizona currently in the way that they're arranged. So I mean, if Vegas can go out and hang 73 points on Orlando, and win by 40, maybe you do take Vegas in the points, man. I don't know. That's crazy to think, but holy cow. I might throw a flyer at that now that we've kind of talked that one out. I'm not going to lie. So any other thoughts, feelings, anything else you want to discuss before we get out of here? Right underneath the 2-hour mark, by the way.
There we go. Real quick again, before we end the show, I just want to say how excited and thankful I am for everyone who had a part in the magazine. Without everyone helping along the way, man, it would not have been possible. I know darn well I could never in a million years have done this all on my own. So all these guys that helped out, Sam included, Sam with the network, obviously I wasn't here on the network, wouldn't be having the magazine and either. So just everyone who's had a hand in it, thank you. It's been an honor to make this and can hopefully, obviously continue to make it as the months and seasons go on. But just wanted to say thanks again, and it's dropping today. We'll let you know and Can't wait to see what you guys think of it.
Very excited. I got to, full disclosure, I got to read through it last night, and I was making a playful joke about it, that I used to dream of moments where I would get to sit back, on my couch and read an indoor football magazine as I was watching a game, and I got to do that last night, so that was pretty freaking cool. Kudos to TJ. He hasn't really taken a lot of credit on this yet. Hopefully that changes in the near future, because I will be honest, this 100% will not be happening, or would not be happening if it weren't for TJ. I have 100% let him run the show on this one, and he's taken the reins and made it happen. So, it looks really good. Very excited. A lot of good information in there. It's basically going to get you up to date on every team and almost every league. And covers, I think, man, what did we talk about 6 different leagues in there? Transactions, historical teams. Literally, if there's something in there that you want it to talk about, it's probably already in there. If it's not, hit us up. We can figure it out, I'm sure. So on that note, once again, just want to remind you, we've had some issues on the website with the mailing list sign up. So with that in mind, if you do not want to post your email address here publicly, obviously, completely understand that. DM any of the Shady Sports Network pages, me, TJ, either of us, you can get it to us, and we will get you on the list, and we will make sure that you get the first edition that will be dropping later on today. Quick comment I wanted to get to before we move on here, but TJ has killed it with the magazine. I completely agree. I also will take that one step further and say everybody who contributed really took it seriously. I wasn't sure what we would get, to be completely honest, as TJ said when he first got into doing this. I told him, I was like, please don't get offended if nobody jumps to help you on this. You just never know. Guys have lives outside of football and stuff like that, but a bunch of guys jumped on board. They wanted to help immediately. And even then, you just don't know what you're going to get from people, right? They're doing this as a third, fourth priority in their life on top of their jobs, their families, their kids, all this stuff. And I saw it last night, and quite honestly, it gave me chills a little bit. It was really cool to see, not only did it come together, but there was clearly a lot of effort put into everybody's section. TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, 58 pages?
Yes. Yeah, I was excuse me. Yeah, when people were asking, I was undershooting. I was saying it was probably somewhere around 25 to 30. What I meant was double-sided, apparently. These guys just killed it, man. So much information. Everyone has to read it, man. If you're a fan of the sport, it's a must-have, and it's free.
Yeah, I was gonna say, reminder, it's free. All you got to do is sign up, and we'll send you it every month free of charge. And basically, shout out to all the people who have helped us get to this point, who are helping support the magazine. So just one more shout out to Gabe with Nino Pro Sports, who runs an agency. If you're an athlete out there looking for representation, I recommend looking into him, as well as our other friends over at Pro Level Sports. But also a shout out to the Columbus Lions, Roger Beck, and the American Arena League in general. Roger Beck is a huge supporter of everything we do here. He's supported the show. He's supporting the magazine. And honestly, could not speak higher about the man. He is a great guy all the way around. We got to meet him in person in the draft. And honestly, I strongly recommend, if you have not seen a Columbus Lions game, get down there, go introduce yourself to Roger. I firmly recommend it. And you will come away impressed with how he runs his organization and the way he treats people, which to me matters more than what you put on the field. So with that, we're gonna close it up right here. 2 hours, 3 minutes, 51 seconds. World record time for the past year and a half. But we appreciate everybody who tuned in today. We only have 1 like so far. So if you could hit that like button, share this stream, do us a solid, help us continue to grow this show. And like I said before, Krish will be back next week. Can't speak for Cody, but I'm sure he'll be back in the next couple weeks. He's probably traveling. He's been to 8 million games this season. So on that note, We'll catch you guys next week. And one more quick reminder about that magazine we just spoke about.
Hi, everyone. This is TJ from Shady Sports Network. I am excited and proud to be the first one to announce that we as a network are introducing a digital magazine, official one called Shady Sports Magazine. As many of you know, the bread and butter of our network is covering arena and indoor football, and that's exactly what this magazine is going to be about. It is going to be the first ever arena and indoor football central magazine, all the leagues included. You're going to also have a bunch of articles in there about past teams going down memory lane. It's just going to be a one-stop shop for the already diehard fan. It's going to be an easy spot to get all of your info, no matter which league or however many of the leagues you may watch. And for the new fan or the casual fan, it may help you turn into a diehard fan now, because you're going to be able to get all the info super quick and easy, sent directly into your email. We will announce in the upcoming weeks when the inaugural issue is going to be released. And believe me, we will definitely keep you updated on our shows and network as a whole on how to sign up for that list to get it. Email for free every month. Thank you to the fans, and thank you for everyone watching. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and most important, enjoy the show and keep watching. Thank you, and see you guys later.